can you talk? Can you make sure that your speaker is on? Let me see.
Mute.
Okay. Christmas. Hello, Dr. Harvey. You look younger and younger. Wow. So I cannot hear you. I think that you haven't turned on the audio. You haven't turned on the audio yet. Can anybody? I think Dr. Harvey hasn't turned on the. Let me see. You haven't turned on the audio yet. You can hear us, but you couldn't. I mean.
Okay. How's that?
That's good.
We can hear you well,
Okay.
but you. So perhaps you want to try turning the camera on?
Did my camera, the video has stopped, the microphone is unmuted. Okay. My apologies.
No worry at all.
Okay, do we have the camera
Yes.
and
Yes.
sound now?
Yes, beautiful.
Hi.
Beautiful.
Phew.
Okay, so doctor, so how long you have been in Japan?
I was there for 8 weeks.
Wow. And then I heard from our founder that you used the body sim to help one of the brain issue, the patient. So maybe you us.
Okay, this was actually really cool. So I'm in the hotel lobby and I see someone and she's there regularly and she has lung cancer. No, she's got breast cancer. Now it's really, really weird because it's way up here and it's impinging on her nerve. So she can't lift her arm at all. So as I always say to people, would you like a hand with that? And some will say yes, some will say no. And she said, I'm a skeptic. And I said, all right, but would you like a hand with that? And she said, I see you wearing them. All right, I'll try it. I put on, I always like, I know different people have different ideas. My decision is always 6 Sims. I start with 6 Sims with my patients. And I want them
recording in progress.
Definitely on 3 different channels. So I put 6 Sims on her and I always go bilaterally. That works best for me. And as soon as they were on, she went like this.
Wow.
And lifted her arm straight up. And then I left and then I came back a little while longer and I put some more Sims on her. But she's been struggling with this cancer for maybe 6 months now. And it was getting worse and worse than the impingement. So I only had a short period of time, but I met some other people and I usually have a 99% success rate with infertility. And I met this couple and they said, we've done IVF twice. And I don't know if you all know, but IVF is what, 20 grand. And they're on their second. And I said, would you like to try the Sims? And they said, yes. And I usually ask people to work with me long term because I want the hard diseases. MS took 13 months. So the infertility, I said, give me 8 weeks and we're going to start to see a change. I've only worked with them for 2 weeks now. So I'm not going to be seeing a big change, but I see subtleties that people will have. And so I'm just thinking, I'm so full of stories that I can share. Is that a direction you might want me to go in or what's your thoughts?
Yeah,
okay.
I think, yeah, let's do very relaxed, like a chat, like kind of everybody, like we discover, the experience and then I think make it really flow, like just, a very, okay.
Cool. All right. Okay. So, I've been working with these for 7 years. I've been practicing for 30. And I'm ecstatic that I get to work with these Sims because even today, I put another envelope into back over to Japan. It cost me $3. And I actually send the product to my patients first. And then once they're interested, I just ask them to go and order them online. I know other people work with it differently. I want them to have a full set. And not everybody can order a full set at one time. So I need them to have the full set when I work with my patients. So I like that it's really convenient and easy and lightweight. Like it's just a card that I'm sending to people. And when it arrives, they say, "Is this it? Is that it?" And I go, "Yes, and these are going to change your life." Like absolutely. So one of my patients, 40-year-old man, successful businessman, families are surgeons. And his legs are numb from the knees lower. And so I said, when I started working with him, I said, "So what does your family say? What are their ideas on what's going on with the numbness in your legs?" And he said, they can't come up with anything. They've tried everything. Neurologists, sports meds. And I said, "All right." So we started working together with the Sims. And this is where I need my patients to talk to me once a week, placing different Sims each week. If they have pancreatic cancer, then I'll actually see them twice a week. But for most people, the changes are subtle. They're very effective. And by the 8th week, his numbness was gone. No, sorry, correction. His numbness was down to about 7 to 10%. We actually had to work on repairing his heart. So we, surprisingly enough, used a lot of heart sims. And then people will ask me, "Well, what sims do I use for this? And what sims do I use for that?" And I know TeslaWave has a specific protocol. So, if you have pain, then place the sims here and here. But I'm seeing it a lot differently. So, for example, if I see someone has a heartache, a physical heartache, I will ask them to use the heart sim with the discomfort sim. It's not a physical pain, it's an emotional pain. And I will always use those two together to help people push through some of their stuff, because sometimes the emotional pain, and if I'm getting out there too much, what I'm noticing is that's a big deal for pain when I'm watching people. Sorry for the ringing. That the two of them are going to be tied together. If it's a sports injury, that's different, and that's not my patients. My patients are very, very different. They usually have chronic illnesses. So this gentleman, we got his numbness to go down to 7 to 10% within 8 weeks. And then he's still my patient because I speak to him, and now it's been a year. And he describes different pains that he has. Like he described this pain that was here that went right to the back of his body, and it had been there for over 12 years. That pain's gone. So it's really a cool journey I can do with my patients to unwind the illnesses, for lack of a better term, that are embedded in their bodies. And I'm just thinking about today. Today was a full day of patients, and a woman, she was seeing my colleague, and she said, "Can I ask you some questions?" I said, "Yes." And her story, she said, "I was injured from the vaccines." And I said, "All right." But while she's standing there, her head's bobbling. And I said, "Okay." I said, "How's your focus? How's your concentration?" Because everything is completely connected. I'm noticing, and I'm bouncing around all over the place. I'm noticing people's minds are tired, like very tired. And I'm finding the Sims are completely supporting people when their minds are tired. And I'm also seeing that a lot of illnesses are actually, again, poor terminology, embedded in the nervous system. And I know that because when we use the stress sims, anything I see with pertaining to their neurological system, like to me, when someone's bobbling like this or their hands are shaking, I definitely want to use the stress sims. And little by little, so I'm thinking about one of my Parkinson's patients. Does a marathon every night for 4 hours because his legs jump all the time. So he gets up and walks because his legs are unsteady. No bowel movements for a week. Can't focus with his mind. And there was something other that was very, very specific that changed within 3 weeks. This might seem trivial to a lot of people, but if you're not having bowel movements, that's the first thing I'm going to start correcting in your body, because nothing can move. If your bowels aren't moving, I'm not going to help you heal because we can't move and circulate the body. So as soon as I get that happening, I'm just trying to think and the other thing too is he started to sleep 8 hours a night. If you're not sleeping, you're not healing. If your bowels aren't moving, you're not healing. So this is the small little stuff. I'm going to skip to another story. I'm at a restaurant in a very, very small town here, and it's funny. I could just talk straight for 30 minutes on just the stories that I've seen with my patients in 10 days. So I go to this restaurant. This woman is the proprietor, and she's just like this. And what do? I say, would you like a hand with that? And she said, yes. I said, okay. And before I left, she tells me her flesh is so painful that I said, sounds like you've had an head injury. Maybe you might look to see to a chiropractor just to make sure your spine is in. And she said, I can't have anyone touch my flesh. And I said, all right. I said, let's work on getting your flesh desensitized. That's a poor word, but not as sensitive. And then let's get you some treatments for the chiropractic treatments. And we'll just start there. So I showed up the next day with my Sims, and I like it because I take them everywhere. I go, this is my first aid kit. So I put 6 Sims on her. She said she described her pain as a Charlie horse pain. And I said, all right, within a minute and a half, her pain was gone, like gone. And so I said, okay, I left it at that because the Sims are going to continue to work. And this is a very unique thing that I see happens with my patients. As soon as the Sims go on, it's like their body gets very, very tired, and it happens quickly. Their body gets very, very tired for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then their system comes back up. And you can see it in their eyes and their face. I'd say 80% of my patients do that. It really just, as soon as the Sims are on, shut down and systems up back again. And I know the Sims are really working with my patients, especially when I see that. So this woman, and again, I don't need to spend hours with her diagnosing her. I just specifically, and I spent 30 years diagnosing. I really have. Now I just listen to her body, and I use the Sims, working with them. The Sims go on, minute and a half, pain is gone. 5 days later, and then I just spent some time with them. They invited me for dinner, and it was just nice. So then I speak to her 5 days later, and she says to me, I'm feeling a little dizzy. I said, all right. And so,
Sorry.
is that a question?
No. Okay. Dr. Harvey, can you turn on your speaker again, please? Because okay. Can you unmute yourself, please?
All right. Am I back
Okay.
on?
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Okay.
Oh, okay. So I speak to her 5 days later, and she says, I'm feeling lightheaded. And I said, all right. I said, okay, talk to me about your pain. She says, it's gone. I said, the Charlie horse pain that you were feeling in your neck for 3 months? She says, yes, it's gone. And I said, exceptional. I don't mind her being lightheaded because that's an easy thing to work with after that. And then when I spoke to her again, she said she's got migraines. And I'm like, not a problem. It's step by step by step by step where the body completely has to unwind whatever it is. And I see this a lot, is I will have 5 patients in front of me. Each one of them has high blood pressure. I cannot treat each one exactly the same. I can't. Each one of them is no different. Catherine's done a different journey than I've done. So I'm not going to work with Catherine's body exactly the way I'm working with mine. I don't find, today we have this one medicine fits all, or not, but one medicine fits many. And I'm finding, no, that's not how I can work with my patients. So if I've got 5 people in front of me with high blood pressure, I have to work with each one completely different. And to me, this is a cute story. I'm working with a woman. She's obese. We're working together, and her energy's lethargic. Now, what's funny is if you know anything about Chinese medicine, and this is where TeslaWave is so perfect, because you're putting them on acupuncture points that have very, very, very profound effects. And change topic slightly. Everywhere I go, I teach people antihistamine points. If somebody's choking, you will change their life by quickly stepping in with an antihistamine point. So anyways, I'm looking at her, and this woman's constantly in fear. It's taken 9 months. She's not afraid anymore. Why is that a big deal? Because the fear was shutting down her kidneys. You could see it. She had these dark, dark, dark lines underneath her eyes, and she doesn't have the dark lines anymore. So her kidneys were being affected with the emotion. And this is all TCM philosophy, traditional Chinese medicine philosophy. When the kidneys are overworked, fear might manifest itself, or vice versa. When somebody's in fear all the time, it might weaken the kidneys. Anyways, I'm working with her, and then her husband pipes up and says something about high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And I said, well, do you want to try the Sims? He says, yes. Okay. The second week after he's put the Sims on, I said, do you notice you're a lot calmer now? He said, I am. I said, notice you're not as tired at the end of the day? He said, I do. And then after the 3rd week, there's a term in Japanese, it's called asadachi, which means morning friend. So it's usually when a man has to go urinate early in the morning, his reproductive system is alert and awake. So I asked him, I said, and I used the term morning friend, and he understood what I was talking about. I said, how's your morning friend doing? He said, oh, it's stronger. And I said, you're welcome. He said, wow. And I said, you didn't even notice the progression. And that's what I noticed. As people get better, they're not actually noticing their progress, that these things are going away. And I always take good notes on when I meet someone for the first time, ask lots of detailed questions, and then I'll always go back to what we needed to do at the very beginning. So now he actually had a tremendous amount of phlegm. And I would hear it in the mornings when I was conversing with him. And the great thing is especially with the Sims, I can do meetings like this. I don't have to have an office. I don't have to have huge overhead. I'm talking to Japan. I'm talking to Mexico. I'm talking to New York. I'm talking to Toronto. This is my base right now, and this is it. So I like, and the other thing too is my liability is so much more less, or is a lot less, because they're Sims. The Sims go on the body. What harm can they do? Very little. There is a time when I caution my patients, especially if they're cancer patients and they're going through radiation. When they put the Sims on, usually they will blister, big blisters within 2 hours. And in that particular case, I say, just take them off. Just take them off. We're going to actually reapply them, but just take them off. So I'm going to go back to the couple. The woman who is constantly in fear and very obese, she starts to notice that her skin is tightening up a lot. We repair the kidneys. I'm going to shoot off to another story and then I'll come back. I have a patient that needs help, and he's actually a close friend, but doesn't want the help. And it's so funny because he goes, I just want to lose weight. I just want to lose weight. And I said, okay, but the Sims can do more than that. I said, let's start. And he's like, I'm just going to put the weight loss on. And I'm like, okay, great, but let's put something else on. Where in your body is the weight coming from? Are your kidneys tired? Is your digestive system tired? Is your liver overworked and exhausting the rest of your organs? And again, this is Oriental medicine philosophy. And I am so glad that I've got this base. It just really speeds up my understanding for my patients and supporting them. So I said, I want you to put 3 on, not just 1. Because I gave him a whole bunch so that I could call him and help him. And he goes, I don't have any more weight loss ones. And I said, okay, but let's get into the triangle. And so that's my thinking right now is I really love looking at a triangle with people's health. So going back to the couple, she starts noticing that her skin is getting tighter. And she said, my diet hasn't changed. I said, it doesn't have to change. Once we rebalance your body, and same with her husband, okay, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, his manly function was a little tired. He was getting irritable at work and tired at the end of the day. Start working with the Sims, all of those start to change, but also the phlegm. I said, what's going to happen is as we're working together, you're going to notice that you're going to look healthier, and all your friends who are just on the same path that you were before are actually going to look worse, and you're going to look healthier. And we're 6 months in, and he said, you're right. I feel strong. I feel healthy. He hasn't changed anything except using the Sims. And so I've just got so many stories, so many amazing things. You don't have to make big changes. The Sims do all the work. And I just ask people, place them in different spots. Yeah. Do you think anyone has maybe any questions, or do you have any thoughts?
Yes, I think Carlos, he wants to ask you questions. So, Carlos, let me make you here. Okay, Carlos, can you unmute your...
I'm here.
Okay, perfect.
I was listening to your video you sent from Nagasaki last week.
I didn't know. No one told me that was put out there yet.
No,
No, I personally sent it.
I have very
God
good
bless.
and I listened to that video, and I was actually driving, and I was just listening to what you were saying, and so many things resonated with me, and I appreciate you actually sharing that. And what I like the most is that you're so thrilled with helping people. That's really
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
that's, and the question I
This,
had is
let,
how.
let,
By the way, so my name is Carlos Aguilera. I'm friends with Brian Davis, and now I met Lidan a couple days ago, and I'm very excited.
mucho gusto.
Gusto mío. That was the question. You speak Spanish? What other languages?
I've really worked well on my Japanese. I've got the English, and the Spanish is disappeared from my mind because Japanese has taken over. But it'll start speeding up again with the Spanish again. So,
Yeah, because you mentioned that you lived in Mexico. Is that you went there on a trip, or were you living there?
oh, that's a big question. I went there for a holiday, and then they shut down Canada. So I thought, well, I'll just wait and see. And then I waited and waited. And I'm thinking, I like Mexico. They gave me residency. And so I'm like, well, this is pretty cool. But I have this dilemma. I love Japan. I love Mexico. I love Canada. And I'm given so much freedom to be anywhere. A postage stamp is everywhere. And that's all I send them is something small like this. Less than $2. No, it's $1. It's $1.81 to send every one of my things to my patients.
So that's the next question: is do you do seminars, or like an open seminar to train other doctors or physicians who are interested in learning more about these solutions that you offer? Have you put together?
I haven't started, but it's a really great idea, and maybe we could do that. It's so funny because my mojo. You know how you go to these motivational seminars, programs, and they say, "What's your mojo?" Right? And I go, "My mojo is watching others who are in the community get better." Like I'm ecstatic. So like if you're my patient, I get to see you completely change, get stronger, let go of some really deep stuff. When someone's got a hard chest, they're not breathing. They're getting acid regurgitation, they're choking on their food. It just gets harder and harder. We can physically change that, or we can get their body to start letting go. And when I watch that, I get ecstatic. This woman who was the proprietor to her restaurant, I watched her. The next time I saw her, she is interacting with her customers again. She has no pain. I get absolute joy watching people change and get healthy. And I'm thinking, what did Catherine said to me? She goes, "Okay, we're going to get all this and then you'll be happier." I said, "Catherine, I'm already happy."
Thank you so much for that answer, and I love that passion, because that's what it really takes to want to help people. So the other question I had is this: okay, so the seminars is something that you're open to doing. The other question is, how do you explain in normal terms to someone how the Sims, the synergy induced
Moderator.
modulators,
Yes.
impact those points? I mean, in layman terms, how do you usually say? I mean, let's say to a customer, or to a client, say, "Hey, this is how this works," or do you have to go into that, or do you follow you because you're an authority figure?
I love giving homework. Can I pass that over to you?
Please.
I'm going to say, you know what? I really, like, I say to them, Nikola Tesla was heavily involved with scalar waves. There was actually a whole bunch of scientists way back then that were involved with scalar waves. And when I start bringing up frequency, here in Canada, they just kind of go, la, 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 and it goes way over their head. So I don't actually encourage them to figure out how they work. I just basically say to them, because it's a frequency and homeopathy always uses frequency, I say, imagine you've taken homeopathy frequencies and the ancient wisdom of Oriental medicine, bring the three of them together, and then start to stimulate your body through the specific acupuncture channels.
Mm.
Hello.
Yeah, you got a visitor, right? That's awesome. So, guys, I really appreciate this. This is a phenomenal invitation. Sorry, I jumped in here and sort of took over.
I actually like it. Where are you living?
I live in Utah. I'm basically like 6 blocks away from Brian.
Oh, I'm coming to visit.
Please come.
Yes.
I mean, we can do
Dr. Harvey visit our office, I think, last year or
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So here's the thing. I was driving through Utah, but I came from Flagstaff before that, and it was funny. My back went out. It was the weirdest thing because I'd been doing the same motion for weeks, and I leaned over, and all of a sudden, click, my back went out, and I went, "Oh, this isn't good." I called a chiropractor, and he took me in. He said, "I am so packed, I can't even fit you in. I can't even fit you in at the end of the day." And me and my confidence, I said to him, I said, "You know, I will change your life if you can help me today." And he looked at me. He goes, "All right, I'll take you in." I said, "Thank you," because it's hard to get appointments now. But then he introduced his wife and said, I'm not reading any of those, so if you want to share them with me, Catherine, great. His wife had been crying for 3 weeks straight. And I said, "My line is, do you want a hand with that?" She said, "Yes." We put 3 Sims on her and she stopped crying. She told me the story why she was crying. And actually, I don't look at whys anymore. I love the word what. I really go for what can we do to make the changes, not why are you suffering so much? Because I encourage people, stop looking behind you and look ahead. And I'm so motivated right now to really support people to get better and stronger, because I'm more about that. Instead of living back there and all your suffering, let's go tomorrow and literally walk in freedom and be healthier. And with the Sims, it actually isn't that hard. You know, I'm not talking complicated, and most people don't even understand, you know, when we go into complication. And this is funny. When I have a patient in front of me and they're saying, "All right, I've been doing physio and this particular tendon has been stretched and that's been going on and on and on and on." I go, "Oh, they're going to take a bit longer because I need to get them out of their head and into their bodies." And it's really huge that way. I was just thinking, I have an older patient that has come to me and he said, "I'm an alcoholic. If you don't help me, I will die." And it was so cool because we put the Sims on him. And in this particular case, I don't usually have people lie down, but he was lying down. And I'm at his feet looking, and his belly starts to decrease while I'm watching. And it dropped like an inch. I mean, it was so full of air and bloated, it dropped. And I'm like, wow. So the gentleman's name is Carlos. Carlos, you explain that. How did that happen? I've got another story on that particular one. So I'm in Mexico, and there's a gentleman. Actually, I go to visit a friend, and they said, "Yeah, my uncle's here, and you know, we think he's going to die. We think he's on death's row." And I said, "All right." And I said, "Can I say hello?" He said, "Well, if you like." So I walk in. This man is 6 months pregnant. I looked at him and I said, "So how far along are you?" And I bring humor a lot in. There's so much suffering, I just kind of bring humor. I recognize your suffering. But I actually don't, I want to move us forward instead. So I said to him, I said, I said to him, I said, so what are you, 6 months along? He goes, yeah, you're funny. He said, I haven't, and he used his vernacular, and I'll change it. I haven't had a bowel movement in 2 weeks, and I haven't eaten anything in 2 weeks. So I'm looking at him, and I said, all right. I said, and I didn't have the Sims, which is surprising, but I was in shorts and a t-shirt and heading to the ocean to go swimming. I said, how about I come back? And I did. And I went and grabbed the Sims, came back. I put, again, my protocol of 6 Sims on and then left. In 20 minutes, he went and had a bowel movement. In 20 minutes, he had another bowel movement. 2 hours later, he filled the bowl. His entire bowels let go. And then the next morning, he woke up and he had a meal. 2 days later, he was on a plane and returned back to Canada at the time. And I'm like, I can't say how much I love these enough. They really are. And it takes time. I've got 7 years in. I can see them. And Brian has been gracious enough to, share a little bit of more information with me. And it's interesting because I asked him if he would be willing to go in a direction with a sim that goes to childhood wounds, because 90% of people have them, childhood wounds. And so he said, I'll think about it and work on it. And I said, because if he does that, I will be able to not push through, but increase the work I do with patients. And people say, well, do I have to talk about it? Do I have to go to a psychologist? I said, no. My terminology, I said, I like it because bubbles come to the top. Whatever your stuff is, like, for example, the gentleman with his numbness from his legs down, we actually had to repair his heart. His emotional heart. It had been really damaged before the age of 10. And he told me the story. And what happens is the stories actually just come out as the body's healing. And he didn't have to relive the trauma, but he did remember the story. And when the stories come out, I know we're in a different layer. And someone who's all science and pharmaceuticals, I'm probably talking a different language, but that's what I'm watching. Is most illnesses have some sort of emotional trigger to them. My MS patient, really, really fascinating. About the 13th month, working with her back, and I've shared this story. Her back had hives like this from her neck to her sacrum, huge hives on her whole back. And she was actually quite nervous. She said, I'm really nervous and scared about the hives. I said, don't be. I said, your body produced them. They're going to come out. They're going to come to the surface. That pretty much cleared up her MS. Whatever was harbored inside her body went away. And we know MS is the myelin sheath. Excuse me. We know it's the myelin sheath. But again, if I have 4 people with MS in front of me, I'm going to treat them completely differently. I will not treat them the same at all. And when I was at a dinner last night, and they were asking questions about what I do, and I simplify it. I said, okay, so everybody around the table, please put your hand out. And so they put their hands out, and I said, look at all our different colors. Even though we're from different cultures, your hand has a different tinge to it. The one young lady from China, her hand was yellowish green. Well, immediately we know that's the digestive system in the liver. And then you look at her face, it's a slight yellow tinge. And there was another gentleman, a little bit of blue on his hands. Well, as soon as we see the blue, we know that there's some kidney stuff, and they were very white. So kidney, lungs. And I'm going, that gives us directions on how to work someone with the Sims, again, to reverse the hard ailments. And I love difficult stuff. What I ask, though, is just give me time. You might see something miraculous, like I've got a young lady who's seeing me for gallstones. And when we started working together, in the first session, she had this massive pain here. So I asked her to put some Sims on. The pain went away like that. And so we're working together now. We're having, for some reason, to repair her lungs. And then I joked with her. I said, here you are. We're supposed to work on your gallstones, but we haven't got there yet. Anyway, she confided last week that she remembered always being angry as a child. So we have gallbladder. In Oriental medicine, gallbladder, liver are partners. And so I'm actually seeing a pattern. It's not just that the gallstones are enlarged. It's how she has responded to life. And so again, it's all about unwinding. And what I always want with my patients is time. You're going to see miraculous stuff, like really quickly, like if someone has an arm pain and you put, the discomfort and you put the performance on, immediately something will change. Like my mother broke her wrist and it was black and blue. And she's 85 years old. It was really cool because I got to use this. I couldn't go on the one arm, so you can always go on the opposite arm. And so I used the nervous system, discomfort, performance. Her black and blue arm was normal color within a week. That's pretty impressive for an 85-year-old, because they obviously their metabolism is a lot slower and it takes a lot longer. But when I saw that, I thought magnificent. And same with the male sim. I'll use a lot of the male sims when I see fatigue. You can just see them. They're I'm tired, so I'm hunching a little bit, but you can just see the body just hunching over. I love the male sims for just giving strength. And I'm not talking just for the day. I'm talking for weeks, permanently, as the body begins to change. And I love the female sims, especially for fatigue of the mind, when they're absolutely exhausted and they have to problem solve all the time, or they have to make too many decisions and they're just tired. I love the female sims for that one. And again, it varies from person to person. And even if someone said to me, okay, I want to use, and I had this young man, I was working with him, and he goes, okay, just tell me what sim and where to put it. And I said, I can't, because everybody's different. If they choose, if someone's in a lot of emotional pain, I want to use the heart sim and I want to use the discomfort sim. But it depends on the heart pain. So if it's more like absolute sadness, then we want to go into the lungs. So you'll use more of an allergy one. And does it make a difference on their pain? Absolutely. Get rid of the weight of their pain, and the physical pain will get lighter. So the woman with the Charlie horse in her neck, 6 Sims on. Before I left that night, because after I'd supped with them, I went to hug her and I said, I'm just going to be gentle. And it was really cool because I could touch her a little stronger. And we're talking just in 2 hours that her flesh was changing. And I said to someone today, I said, not everyone has these miraculous changes so quickly, but a lot of people do. And then I just keep slowly introducing the Sims, getting the body to change. So I'm about long term. If you just want something real quick, okay, great. Place them, here you go. And they work extremely well. But my niche that I have is working with more chronic stuff. And like my Nagasaki video, and Catherine, the Nagasaki video, I couldn't send it all. There was still another minute. And that was the important part of it. Maybe I'll send the second half somehow to you. I'm not savvy in this area. But it's really so cool that I can become more relaxed, continue to help people, but not with the pressure of again, the capital costs, having to be somewhere, having to have patients come in every day, because which is what I'm doing here in Vancouver. But I'm also like tomorrow all morning, I'm all around the world, talking to all my patients, putting the Sims on and watching them transform. And yet it's a lot more relaxing for me. I guess my priorities have changed after this whole thing in the last couple of years, where I was running 3 practices, and I still do, but not as much. And I slow it down, and I really encourage people to go on the Sims instead. And same with stroke people, Parkinson's people, they can't come out, or it's really a lot of work for them to come for an appointment. Well, I'm coming to them. I come to them. I'm in their living room. We're putting the Sims on. They're transitioning beautifully. Oh, one of my patients got shingles. And I said, all right, I definitely want you to put the stress, discomfort on your body. And within 2 days, his pain was gone. He had been suffering for 3 weeks, and he hadn't called me. And so I called him, and he goes, oh gosh, I've been in so much pain. I said, great, let's get the Sims on. And in 2 days, the pain was gone. And I always have fun with my patients going, why didn't you call me sooner? Any questions? I'm taking a breather.
Thank you so much, Doctor. So I think since we let me see. I think we have a doctor from Malaysia on the Zoom call, and let me ask Kenny first, because I don't know which doctor. They must have questions. Hold on one second. Hey, Kenny, can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself? Great.
Oh, excellent. Yes.
Doctor, which one? Can you tell me which account? Alina. Is she here? I mean, Alina. Okay, I saw it. Okay, ask to unmute. Dr. Alina, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Let me just switch off my
Yeah, the echo is.
echo here. I'm in my clinic at the moment.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry. I've just started using Sims. I don't have any background in TCM, so I'm just wondering, like, for patients, from multiple sclerosis patient, if they are bedridden, and seem very demotivated, and so how do we approach it? They don't talk a lot, we just come to visit them, and we know their underlying problem. So how do we treat such patients? How do we apply the Sims? What type of Sims we use? because I really don't have any background in TCM.
Very, very good question. You might be interested in learning just the channels, the acupuncture channels and how they work, because I specifically say to place them on specific spots. So I will specifically say I want it 2 inches away from the wrist, or I want it 1 inch away from the wrist, or I want it 1 inch away from the elbow. And I have a patient with cerebral palsy, and I shared this with Brian. I was so excited. She is now, after 22 years, starting to articulate words. So her hands are like this. So I started to place heart sims, stress sims, relax sims on this area here, and her wrists are starting. She can actually get herself up off the floor now. But the articulating words is such a huge deal for her because she hasn't been able to communicate. So I'm not fully answering your question. I've said to some people, sometimes doing a 3-way, if the patient is there, and you can, because I have my cerebral palsy patient. She goes in with a session with somebody else. The doctor calls me. I speak to her very, very quickly. I ask her specific questions, and then I ask her to place the sims on very specific areas. In that particular case, while at the same time she's learning from me where to place them on the other person. So again, if I have 5 people with MS in front of me, one of the great places would be on the bottom of the foot, right here, place the male sim, and that will just support the patient. And same with stress sim, that will support. But I really need to hone in on the patient, and that's the thing. Again, that's the 7 years experience I have with the sims of knowing how they work. I mean, you basically have to learn them intimately, how they all work, and this is what I'm learning is the combination. Nobody picks the same combination. You look at it, we've got 10 sims. I ask them to pick 3. I will look at the order of how they're choosing them, and then I can diagnose what their problems are. It's truly amazing to watch and to really hone in on the diagnostics of what their body needs, because their body's more accurate and knows what it needs rather than me telling them. Because that's what all this medicine has been lately, is that it's something like high blood pressure. Well, where's the source of the high blood pressure? Oh, it's the kidneys. Is it really? Is there acid regurgitation with it? Is there headaches? Is there mucus? If there's a lot of mucus, we got to get rid of the mucus in order for the blood pressure to start changing and the cholesterol to start changing. And nobody addresses the mucus. Sorry, I'm going to a different thing. I have someone with COPD, and she couldn't talk. Every time she talked, she would cough. Well, we started working together, and in our sessions, she talks the entire time without coughing, but she is now bringing up all the GUIs. We're talking long, stringy GUIs that her lungs are now strong enough to now bring it out. Her future didn't look friendly at all had we not started. And when I first met her, I asked her 4 specific questions, and she said, I've been asking my doctors these 4 questions for 2 years. None of them have answered these questions. And I said, well, I'm asking them. What do you think? And so let me ask this. The direction that I take with my patients, is this foreign to you in how I look at them and go, there's going to be a pattern which is different than anybody else?
Meaning, we have to have a bit of rapport with patients first, at least know their underlying problems, right?
Yeah.
And but basically, when you apply the Sims, it has to go in line with the meridian channels, yeah?
I like them. I'll give you an example. Spleen 6. Spleen 6 is 3 inches above the ankle on the inside, about. Well, 3 channels diverge through that. The liver channel, the kidney channel, and the spleen channel. That's the information I know. So the Sims are so powerful that if I put it on that spot, I'm supporting the liver, the kidney, and the spleen all at the same time.
So
But then I also want to add 2 more. So I want 3 Sims on either side of the body each time. Because I call it unwinding. Unwinding, or what I actually say is, I have a box of puzzle pieces, and each person that I'm working with, I take one puzzle and I put it together. I take another puzzle and I put it together, and I start to see the picture of their illness. I don't like labels. It's MS. And I'm like, all right, so it's MS, but what else is going on? Do your bowels move? Do you even have a libido? Can you focus on your mind? What kind of pain do you have? As you know, when you ask people, they're not the same. So your MS patient, how far along? How long have they had MS?
3 to 4 months diagnosis.
Okay.
But she has history of cancer too. She has history of cancer, yeah, and treated. That was a few years back, and her condition deteriorated for the past few months.
I'm always asking now, and I don't mean to be stepping on toes, but I'm always asking, how many vaccinations have you had? I'm always asking that with my patients, because I'm seeing some really bizarre stuff, like on the shin. I'm seeing rashes that aren't going away, and they're just coming up, but they're not going away. And I'm seeing that on people who've had multiple shots. So that's another question I would ask this patient, because I'm going to have to go in a completely different direction with that one, and repairing deeper layers, which is the neurological system and the immune system, depending on if they've had vaccines, rather than just going right into the MS.
Right.
So each person is very different with that one. So
basically, if they've had history of vaccinations, is it safe to assume that everyone who's had the vaccine to go on a detox regime or something? Is there any way of detoxing using the Sims?
Very good question. I don't have the data to back it up, but I'm watching people recover, especially with their immune systems, with the rashes, their lungs getting stronger. So I'm seeing them, I'd like to say, recover. We don't really know exactly what's transpired since people have had the vaccinations, but I am watching their bodies get stronger. And so I don't have the data to back it up. All I have is each individual's story on how their bodies are changing.
Just diverting. Another question is that I noticed that a lot of testimonies on the body sims used for weight loss.
Yes.
Is it really effective? Because I've just had I have some questions from friends who are just inquiring whether it's really effective in reducing weight.
Eddie, who's at head office, he had some extra weight, and he changed nothing but used weight loss sims, and he lost a lot of weight. There's on the website you can see him progress, and all he did was use the weight loss sims, and so then it was very, very effective for him. I just go a little differently, and I say I want to heal what's weak in the body in order for them to completely not have a weight problem in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think about you and your position because you've studied a lot of medicines in the past, and this is a completely different direction, and your learning curve is going to be steep. And if you're alone on this, it's like, okay, my patient has this. Where do I place the Sims? And I would like to say, okay, just do this. But what I've discovered is I have to get to know the patient, and I'm going to ask them very specifically where to place them. Male Sims on the bottom of the foot is a really good spot, but will it get to the core? It will. They'll change. I like performance because performance enhances anything else in the body. And then you can go to the nervous system, because I correlate stress and nervous system together with the Sims. And so you can go, okay, I'm going to put a male Sim on the bottom of the foot. I'm going to put a stress Sim somewhere. And so I'm going to ask you, well, where are you going to put them? There's a protocol according to TeslaWave where you can use that and use them well. But I always want a combination, always. And I do caution people. I really laugh because one of my colleagues with TeslaWave, who actually inspired me to go with these, he had like 26 Sims on him. And I'll be very vague. Something happened in his body, and it was a lot of heat. And I said, you got way too much heat going on in your body. And I said, how many Sims do you have on? He said 26. And I said, oh, no. I wouldn't recommend that for you. But with someone with Parkinson's, we've seen videos where, you'll put 20 Sims on them, and their shaking will completely stop, and they'll be fine while the Sims are on. But that's not effective for everybody, because I was watching heat come out of him in such a weird way that I said we might want to take a few of these off. And because it's new for you, you got so much to learn. And my thoughts are, if I can help in some way, let's make that happen. And for a couple of patients, you might want to do just a 3-way, or maybe I'll have to come visit. Because when I look at the patient, I'll say to you, I say, do you look at this, this, and this, and this? And you might look in this direction, which I don't see. I'll say, look, like, for example, once the Sims are on, what I do is I just sit back and I watch. And all of a sudden, you can see them dropping. And literally, it's like the body's recalibrating, and then boom, the system comes back up again. And then they might take a deep breath in. And I go, all right, the Sims are working. Well, how do you know? I said, see that deep breath you just took in? I did. I can breathe. And I go, yeah. And so, if it's a breathing problem, you can try allergy. But again, where are you going to put them?
for the chest.
Sure.
Next to the sternum.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. You're going to you're going to you're going to see the victory stories, right? You'll place the Sims and then you'll go, they got better. And then, I'll ask you, how did that work? Like, can you explain to me how that worked? You put on this funky little Sim. It's this thin. And then all of a sudden their ailment goes away.
Yeah, it's quite miraculous actually. I've tried it for my 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 granddaughter. She's a bit
Excellent.
yeah. So her mother just placed the Sim over her upper chest. I think the relax for the stress Sim, and she did not cry after a bout of after some tantrum and all, but she did not cry after that, which is a much what I call it, which is quite a different thing lah, according to my daughter. So that's the thing that I can see. I think the kids respond faster.
So fast. I say to moms or parents or grandparents, I say, if you have a child that won't fall asleep, TeslaWave suggests putting relax on the temples. With a child, you can place that relax anywhere in their body. Anywhere in the body. And you probably only need one. And they'll fall asleep very, very quickly. They're that effective. Yeah. But for adults, there's a protocol that TeslaWave gives you. And you can start with easily following those. I've just taken it to a completely different level where I am so excited. Like the patient who's the alcoholic, he's going to be transformed. And I saw him today and I said, I can't believe how excited I am. I'm so excited because I know within 3 months, you're going to be a different man. I know it.
You're very innovative in your approach to the patient, because I've been following the guide diligently. Yeah. So that's the thing. Okay.
So then you can share some of the things that you've actually seen. So your granddaughter, you've seen that she's calmed down.
Yeah.
The MS patient, how tight are the muscles? How tight are the muscles, and are they starting to contract, and are they all weak in the legs and back now?
Yeah, she cannot. She's completely bedridden at the moment.
Oh my gosh! Then you might want to just go alone on yourself with this one. You might want some help with this one. This is where we're going to see tremendous changes with the MS patient. She doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to take meds. You don't have to. The Sims will actually transform her body. Like, see how excited I am? I am so excited for this MS patient because you're going to be working with her. She will be walking. If she stays, and that's what I say to my patients, I need time. If you can't give me time, and some patients will stop, after a short period of time. And I'm like, I know, but we got so much more work to do, because I'm looking at them going, wow, your kidneys were shut down and they're okay functioning now. And they're only functioning 50%, but you want to stop. And I'm like, all right. So I'm excited for your MS patient because you will see some changes.
Probably I can contact you later on for a consultation on the patient.
That'd be cool. Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So good. I think Dr. Harvey, it is actually exceed my expectation, because I thought at the beginning, I didn't know that Kenny scheduled a Zoom meeting. I thought it's a public meeting. And after I realized it's the special meeting for Dr. Elena. So I think, wow, then it's great that Dr. Harvey being my guest speaker tonight, then we can share, because everybody starting with Body Sims, everybody's starting from not knowing much. and also have a question about it. And after they used the Sims, and everybody were like, "Oh my goodness, how can this thing be so magic? You know, so incredible, like effective." So I think it's like it's like a growing journey that every single one they use body sims on themselves, their friends, their family members, their, some doctors they use for their patients, and uh, all of like the people who experience, they will feel the same thing, by the same feeling by the end, that this body seems really so good, and whomever use it, I mean, they are very blessing, very, very blessed. And then they are so lucky to even know body sims, and know how to use body sims to protect their health. And like what I share with Dr. Harvey this morning, when I invite her to be my guest speaker this morning, and give her such a short notice, because I need to talk to her, because I thought that she's still in Japan or maybe another country. And so lucky that she responded me like after like a couple hours. And then she said, "I'm back to Vancouver, Canada." I was like, "What? Like, this is good. Oh yeah, it's close to Christmas, so you need to be back home." And I share with her, and I told her that I have to go back to Asia, like Taiwan, and I need to do Tesla Success Business School. It's about total like 300 people, and there are 2 sections, and then it's like, everywhere is booming right now. So we just started after pandemic, but Dr. Harvey, she has been using body sims for 7 years, right? 7 years. Yeah. So I mean, in the whole time, I think Dr. Harvey, because I know we always keep very close connection, and we always share good news. And we know that a lot of doctors, they use our body sim to help lots of their patients. And then we have lots of doctors in California. They are all Chinese, and they don't speak much English, but they just love the body sims, just like Dr. Harvey. And then just like, health, like, no, health is borderless. And then health is like, once you know the message, like Dr. Harvey, she loves the business style. And then I share with her, I said, we are getting busier and busier now. And then next year we're going to fly. And then we are planning right now to do our own training center in headquarters in Utah. And then she was so exciting. So later on, after we have our own training center, I think, people's like people like doctors, like leaders, like if company think it's great time to invite them to headquarters, we will do all the testimonial sharings, we will do all the workshop, and we will do business sharing. I think then everybody gonna meet everybody, and we're gonna share the global Tesla health business together. So we're in the same family, we're in the TeslaWave, the same family. And I think a lot of people still don't know why we call TeslaWave, because ScalarWave used to be TeslaWave, because Tesla was the scientist who actually discovered the ScalarWave. But by history, by some reason, they give the name and take over Tesla's name, and they give the name as a ScalarWave. Now, we as a company, TeslaWave, we give this name back to Tesla. So I know that we all being blessed, and I know whomever want to use body sims to do the business will seriously will change the world, and we will change lots of people's life. So I think that
if you're comfortable, I'm comfortable with coming on another Zoom. And also, if somebody wants to contact me directly, I'm comfortable if you want to pass the WhatsApp, or if I need to get onto something else. I'm comfortable with that, unless they want unless you want me to post it now.
We will actually organize more of the English-speaking Zoom, and I think that we will announce it in the company website, so which is very good. And then I think everybody gonna help each other, and then everybody gonna be benefit from it. So I'm so happy and really appreciate Dr. Harvey tonight. Your time and sharing, and I think we all love you. And like I met lots of leaders in Malaysia last month, the trip, and so I think that we will see lots of sweet face, and then in Thailand, and Dr. Harvey, you're gonna be there, so I'm sure. And then I'm sure that yes, and Kenny will definitely gonna be there, and I think that Dr. Elena might be there too. So anyway, so I think thank you very much. And then we had a 1.5 hour almost for the Zoom, and very, very happy. And I wish everybody have a great weekend. And we will announce the schedule. We're gonna do a lot more sharing in the very short future. Okay, so
thanks for your time,
once
Catherine.
again, thank you. Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Harvey, and happy holidays. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the friends from Malaysia and Singapore. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, because they celebrate Christmas too. Okay, so everybody have a great weekend. Goodbye.